Kelly and Michelle, welcome again. I'm so excited. We have with us today Pierre Dulaine.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to
Yes, I can see you guys are excited as well.
We are very excited and honored. This is fantastic. So nice to have you, Pierre.
You're very kind. Thank you so much. And it's a great pleasure to be speaking with you through this. I've done Zoom before, but this is really very interesting through this time, this pandemic that we are all going through.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Great pleasure to be here.
Yes. So welcome to Talk.dance. For those who might not know, Pierre is a 4-time world champion in exhibition dancing, which is just an incredible claim to fame, first of all. But what I'm even much more impressed about is the program Dancing Classrooms that Pierre founded. He was just telling us 26 years ago. But before we get to that, Pierre, I'd love to find out how you got started in dance.
Oh, yes, please.
Oh, okay, well, do you have time? Yeah. First of all, I was born in Jaffa in Palestine, which is Israel now, of course. And when I was 4 years old in 1948, at the creation of the state of Israel, we fled and we ended up in Jordan. So I grew up in Jordan, in Amman, the capital city of Jordan. And in 1956, I went to school. I went to a French school where I could speak, where we were learning to speak French at school, Arabic on the street. And my father was English, my mother is Palestinian, and only English at home. So I did not learn 3 languages. I grew up with 3 languages. And so I was taught English by Arab teachers at the French school. But when I came to England, at the age of 13, I started ballroom dancing at 14, but I was being bullied at school because of my funny British, not so British accent. And we're talking about 1957 then, you know,
Right.
in England. So anyway, a friend of mine from the classroom, from the school class, suggested I go with her to this dancing school, which was very close to where we lived in Birmingham, in England. Mm-hmm. And so I went, and how you say, the rest is history, not really, but I was very, 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 very bad. I cannot tell you at the beginning, because I didn't know what the music was. And this, excuse my French, this bloody teacher of mine was saying, no, it's 1, 2, 3. What? I said, what's 1, 2, 3? What is this? So anyway, eventually I took my bronze medal, my silver, my gold, and then I was helping the school because there were never enough boys, as you all know, for boys dancing. So I got extra tuition by going. When I moved up to the silver class, I helped with the bronze. I went up to the gold. I helped with the silver and bronze. And I started teaching part-time. And then I moved down to London. And that's where really things started for me. I found a partner, and we won the Jewel of the Giants at the Royal Albert Hall in 1967. My gosh. And then I won it again with another partner in 1969. And then 1970, I was on a cruise ship cruising in and out of New York as a cruise director. Oh. And so after 6 months, I got fed up and stayed in New York. And that's really when my professional dancing life started, my really, upper grade, let's say. I danced with Yvonne Marceau, my dancing partner, at the Arthur Murray Dance Studio. And there, with her, we won the Blackpool exhibition 4 times, etc. And we made a name for ourselves. So basically, that's a quick synopsis of how I started. I wasn't good at all. I promise you. But when I was 14 and a half, 15, our dancing teacher in Birmingham had a competition. I went to it, and there was a professional couple dancing, the Midland champions of ballroom dancing. I saw them dance, and I said to myself, wow, you know what, one day thinking to myself, I'm going to be a world champion. And so in spite of me being so bad, that really, so you never know what goes on in a child or a teenager's mind. And glad to say that I fulfilled that part of it. And so coming to New York then for a 2-week holiday, end of 1971, I am still here. And I've made my life here, of course, and it's been really, really wonderful. So ballroom dancing changed my life from being a shy, with a front tooth broken, speaking with a funny accent in England, and being bullied at school. Dancing made me proud, made me stand up, gave me confidence. And that's really what ballroom dancing does, because you cannot be a good dancer and be slouching, and dancing like that. You've really got to stand up, and people then start to admire you on your comportment, on how you treat other people, how you shake hands, how you look at them in the eye when you speak, etc. All of these things came through ballroom dancing. And so I'm really, really glad I've been in it.
Well, that was a beautiful collection of your life and career and success. And I have goosebumps as you talk about that, because it really is, and I think all of us have, a small scale of the same idea of how it's impacted us in our life. And that's exactly what it is. It does bring confidence and pride and purpose and joy and so many wonderful things that you just encompassed in all of those wonderful achievements. And it really is great to share with other people. And when you have, even just the 4 of us here and the great audience that's going to appreciate this, is a little moment of their story that makes them feel all of those great things.
Yes, correct. I think we can all, if you have done ballroom dancing, the ballroom dancing hold, we call it the embrace hold, when you hold someone. And of course, at the moment, that's impossible to be so close in an open situation. But the embrace hold, when you touch someone, something happens. You get to know that person in a way that you never knew before. Whether you are the man or the woman, there's a give and take in the way you feel a person, and there's action reaction in a wonderful, respectful manner. And then you put on the music, and then you move, and then you glide, and then it becomes a conversation poetic conversation between 2 people. And I think this is really, I am very blessed. I thank God every day that I found this out, that I was in ballroom dancing, for sure.
Yeah,
You
it does
are
change our lives. Yeah.
You're just a ball of positive energy. It's amazing. I have a random question before we get even more into your awesome life and history. The transition from cruise ship so the transition from water to land or whatever, was that like a big switch for you, or was it just like another job? Or because I have some friends who that was a big transition and they didn't like it, or they did like it and they still are doing it. So
well, basically I missed out telling you that I first went on a cruise ship as a dancer, as a cabaret with my partner on a Greek ship. And I like I'm a people person. I think you can tell this by now. And so I've learned to speak Greek. I speak several languages. And so I'm very confident of myself. And to be, let's say, a star on a 600, 700, 800 cruise ship, cruisers, makes you even feel more comfortable and more confident. Yeah. And then I got off the ship after 6 months, 3 months of dancing. And so later on, I got a call. I was supposed to be going to live in Paris, to work at on the Champs-Élysées at the Lido in Paris as a show dancer, not as a ballroom dancer. I got fed up with ballroom dancing because I had to rely on a partner for my living.
Yeah.
And that really did not, I was at the time when, so I was going to be going there. And then a telephone call comes from the cruise line. We have a new ship. We'd like you to be our new cruise director. I said, but I've never done it. We have a wonderful personality, blah, 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 blah. I said, oh, okay, I'll give it a try. So I signed a year's contract, and that's how I came to America. But after 6 months, I wouldn't mind being a cruise director now with the internet world. But at the time, you had to wait 10 days, 2 months for your letters to come, or, you know, when you go into port. Life was so different. It was never current as life is nowadays. So anyway, I got off and came to New York. So, but basically, I started. So for me, being a cruise director came just by chance. And then coming to New York, I thought, I'll let me stay here. Let me stay for 2 weeks. I walked into the Arthur Murray Studios. I saw some friends of mine, British people, British couple, John and Judy Hatton, who were teachers at the dance studio in Manhattan. And they were leaving, and they needed a dancer. They needed a teacher for the advanced teachers, you know. And so I said, let me think about it. I said, okay, I'll stay for 3 months. Well, that 3 months stayed forever. So, and then Yvonne Marceau comes walking in looking for a job, and then we became partners. But I was lucky that Arthur Murray's offered me a job twice. Once in England, when I went to live in London. I worked for Arthur Murray's in 1964 in England when I was 20 years old. And then back in coming to Manhattan, they offered me a job. So I go back with Arthur Murray's, and I have good memories with them. They've been very good to me personally. And but you know, and then Yvonne and I started dancing. Then we went to Blackpool. We won things in Blackpool. We became famous, etc. We went on Broadway in the Grand Hotel, the musical. Then I think, you know, Antonio Banderas played my life in the movie called Take the Lead, etc. So, I mean, hello, how lucky can I be?
It was really, yeah, I wanted to ask if you were upset that they picked someone less handsome than you to play the lead.
Oh, come on.
I figured you'd be upset.
No, he was a wonderful guy, actually. Was very good. Very blessed. Very blessed.
How were you, because I know it's about your life and obviously, but how involved were you? Were you on set, or did they just kind of call you and let you know what was happening? Like how did that experience go?
Okay, well, as you know, I founded dancing classrooms 26 years ago. Mm-hmm. I went into the Professional Performing Arts School, PPAS, in New York City. And I volunteered because I didn't need money. I was working on Broadway at night. So I volunteered my way during the day, twice a week for 10 weeks. And I created dancing classrooms. So I worked with 30 unruly children. Eventually, they liked it. And then, of course, then I loved it. And that was the seed of dancing classrooms. But basically, the children I work with are fifth graders. When it comes to Hollywood and movies, they want sex and drugs.
Yeah.
And so they changed it to teenagers.
Right.
You know, high schoolers, you know, 11th and 12th graders. And so that was the difference. So for me, they did a good job because it was this, the emotions were the same. We changed those unruly children to becoming ladies and gentlemen through ballroom dancing. Yeah. Did I have something to do with it? I trained the cast. I taught them the syllabus of what we do. I was a consultant on the music, on the dancing, but I did not do the choreography for Antonio. They had an actual film choreographer, Miss Jansen, who did it. And so Antonio really, like any actor, they pick up, you know, so it's, they did it really well. And I'm really thrilled. I mean, what can I say? Hello. I mean, it was wonderful. What I really remember, I have to admit, was, you know, all of those cameras clicking for interviews on the red carpet. Oh my God, I've done that a few times. And then you go to Hollywood for the press junket. I did the same thing in Tokyo for the opening in Japan. And so all of these things were experiences I had never, ever had in my life, and all through ballroom dancing. So that's really quite phenomenal. But I thank dancing classrooms for all of this, because it's the children that gave me the opportunity to go back into my life. So what I brought to the children was something that happened to me personally. It was organic, let's say that. It was not made up. And then you all know, if you do ballroom dancing, with all due respect, you can dance with a partner for the 2 or 3 minutes, and some people are just like butter. You know, you can just dance and move and beautifully, it feels great. With some others, oh my God, thank you, next type of thing. But I think, I say this with all respect to everybody, because I mean, it's you have to be, you've got, dancing is give and take.
Yes.
And for me, the dancing classrooms was organic. I didn't have to make it up. It was really, really me. And when something is really you and you are present doing it, it is golden. You cannot buy that.
Nice. Nice. So Pierre, I'm sure when you first walked into that school, at that point in time, have the idea for dancing classrooms, you just want to volunteer at that one school. How did that initial experience actually transition into this plan to replicate that and start doing that on a much larger scale?
That's a very good question. I mean, you're quite right. I did not go into, as I said, I didn't need money. I was earning good money on Broadway, so it was something for me to do. And I thought I could give back to society. But it was so successful that we were also part of American Ballroom Theater. Yvonne Marceau and I created American Ballroom Theater, which was to put ballroom dancing on the legitimate stage, just like a ballet company. So we toured with that all over the country. I ran different countries of the world also. And we were at the Joyce Theater every 18 months. We did a presentation for 2 weeks of a full evening of ballroom dancing. We had 6 couples. Yvonne and I were one of them, plus 5 other couples. And the Joyce Theater is a not-for-profit organization as well. So they also had a school program where on Friday, they asked the current appearing company to do a shortened version of their show presentation for children from the schools. So we were asked to do that, and we've done it several times. But at this one occasion, because the ballroom dancing was so new, we're talking about 86, 87, 84, 85, those years, in the mid-80s, classroom teachers did not know. Ballroom dancing was a well-kept secret, by the way. I'm sure you know this as well. So they asked all of their teachers to have what they call a professional development. They asked me to go and teach the teachers, let them know what their children can expect the following week when they come. And so I did that. I had a great time with the classroom teachers answering questions. And there was a woman there. Actually, she's a very quite a, a wealthy lady with she and her husband. They fund a lot on PBS. Her name is Jody Arnhold. And a wonderful lady who said to me, she was part of the dance education. She said to me, you know, Pierre, that's very, very good. You should take this into other schools. So that's really how it started. That was in 1992. Now it took 2.5 to 3 years to be knocking on doors at the various schools for them to accept my program. It was very, very cheap. I gave it to them. I was teaching myself at the beginning a few schools. And so from 2 schools, you become 3. From 3, you become 5. And so I got other teachers. And so now, my God, we're in like 120, 130 schools with about 40 teachers and 5 educational liaisons. We are all over the country, in many, many cities around the country, and a few countries around the world. We're in Jordan, we're in Israel, we're in Germany, we're in Switzerland, we're in Canada, Virgin Islands, St. Thomas and St. John. What else? I can't remember. Anyway, so we are really we've done really quite well. And if anyone is interested, they can just log on to dancingclassrooms.org. So they can get more information on that if they wish to know more about dancing classrooms, or they want to bring dancing classrooms to their own children in their own city. So yeah, so it's good.
As I understand it, the concept is not so much just to bring dance itself as a skill to these young children, but everything that dance brings along with it, the idea of respect.
Yes, I agree.
Well, I should let...
No, I'm sorry to interrupt, but basically, this is why we came up with the Delaine Method. There is a Suzuki method, there is the Montessori method of teaching or working with children. Now you have the Delaine Method, and it's built on 6 chapters. I'll try to remember them.
I was looking at that today, actually, Pierre.
Yeah.
I was reading the Dulaine methods today, and it was beautiful. So let's see how much you can remember.
Yeah, I'll try to remember. La, la, la. First and foremost, respect and compassion.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, when you're speaking to children, you're speaking to them. You don't speak down to them. You have to understand, many of these children come from one family parent. The other member of the father or mother could be in prison, could be a drug addict, could be. So you really have to be very careful how you talk to children and engulf them into you, actually speak to them, speak with them, not speak down at them. So we have respect and, oh God, I've forgotten. Okay, respect and compassion, being present. Now, being present, that means I am talking to you right now, and I am not thinking what I'm going to have for dinner. So I am really with you. I'm working, I'm teaching you, I'm working with you. There is a man in California who's a classroom teacher. He wrote a book, Teaching Like Your Hair is on Fire. And apparently he was in a chemistry class, and he was doing some experiment, and his hair caught fire, and he did not know. And the children had to tell him, sir, sir, sir. So he came up with this being present. I'm just explaining what being present really is all about. And I'm sure if you are at a bar or at a party with people and you're talking one-to-one, but you are now looking at me, but I am now looking past you, looking at who else is around. I am not being present with you, if that happens. So there is command and control, how you can control 30 unruly children and keep their interest. Mm-hmm. There is body language, verbal and body language. You can learn so much from a child's body language, but also they can learn so much from you. And there is, when you're teaching the humor and joy, doing something with humor, just bring fun into it, have fun with them. So these are the elements that you have, that all of our teachers, because I've trained them all, now I'm retired, so I have other people doing it, but these are the elements that you have to be aware of when you're working with the children. And so many, 99.9% of our teaching artists, after they've gone through their week's training with the Delaine Method, their own life has changed themselves, how they approach people, how they approach life, because of being compassionate. And I think that's, for me, respect and compassion for me is the key. So that's the Delaine Method.
It's a beautiful method. That's
No,
perfect.
no, I mean, but I mean, it works. I mean,
It does work. Yeah.
it's nothing but real, you know.
It's genuine and it's authentic and it's organic. So it covers all of those wonderful things, Pierre. I am so blessed to be in the company of all of you, because I have to say, as much as I know we've just met, Pierre, I've known David for about a decade. I've only known Kelly for a few months, but even in our exchanges and the passion for dance and what we do in teaching and sharing and imparting knowledge, it's always present. It's always genuine. It's always true. And that's really what allows us to be able to even meet with you, because we share that same common thread.
Thank you. I agree. Mucho macho. Thank you. So can you shake it? Can you shake what your mama gave you?
Yes, of course. Can you? That's exactly why we're here.
I'm sure. Love it. Love it.
Oh, there we go, David. David just gave us a little shimmy.
Yes. So, and one of the incredible things about what you've been able to do with this Delaine method is really drive true measurable results in the schools, with the number of instances of bullying going down,
Correct.
academic performance going up, and so forth.
Correct.
That's just so inspiring.
Yes, I mean, we are in so many schools that, and you know, I'm sure you all understand budgets, you know, priorities. What does a school, how do they spend their budget? And for many schools, regardless of how difficult it is for them, our Dancing Classrooms program is their priority. And what is even really interesting, even more from my point of view, is that we are inclusive. We include all of the children, meaning if you are special needs, if you are in a wheelchair, if you are autistic, you are part of the program. And that is really, really wonderful. So I'm really proud of that for sure.
That's lovely. Lovely. So you are much deservingly retired now and enjoying life in New York, and you have all of these programs and these teachers. Is dance still part of your life, Pierre?
With all due respect, I had 2 dancing schools, one in Clifton, New Jersey for 20 years and one in New York City here. But I no longer, I don't want to dance. I don't feel like dancing.
Right.
You know, I love music, you know, and I like going to the theater, to musicals, stuff like that. But I don't like ballroom dance. I don't go at ballroom dancing for a very important reason. And I'll share with this with you, all of you. Because let's say if I was to dance with you, all right, with pleasure, thank you. Many times when people want to dance with me for the first time, oh, come, dip me, make me look good, you know. So it's not that they want to dance, they want to show off, they want me to, and if they can't dance, how can I dance with them? Etc.
Because then you're not present and you're not sharing that moment.
Absolutely.
Now it becomes a demand, and that's not what you've enjoyed about dance. So it's changed. Yeah.
This becomes not me. So I'd rather sit down with a glass of wine or champagne and have a chat and get to know people like this. For me, that's at my age, you know. I've also had my 2 hips done, you know, with metal, etc., etc. I can still move. That's not the big issue, but I've done it. I mean, I started dancing when I was 14 years old. How long is that? Hang on, 76, less 14.
Well, the good news is, Pierre, given that incredible success and everything that has driven you to have and do what you've done, you deserve the glass of wine and you deserve to sit and chat, because you have given the dance world so much joy and love. And now we get to just enjoy the journey of what you've created.
Thank you. No, thank you.
Enjoy your wine.
Thank you. So the joy that I have right now is visiting schools, which I do, and chatting with the children and seeing their smiling faces when they get it. And watching them. I'm not wearing a tie at the moment, but I hit people with my tie normally. I bless them with my tie, you know. That's a dance blessing. So, and many times, because all of the children are taught to arrive to the class, to the dance studio, or the lunchroom, wherever the dance class is taking place, in escort position. The escort position is having the lady on the man's right-hand side. And so at the end of the class, I always hit them with my tie at the end, you know, and they come to me, hit me, hit me, hit me, hit me. So then, you know, you made a friend, and that really is very, very, very gratifying. So that's what I get my pleasure.
So with 26 years of this program being in existence now, there's obviously quite a legacy of multiple generations now of children, in a sense, that you have. Are you still in touch with some of those earlier students? I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
Funny enough, we have an alumni ambassadors who, because after the dancing classrooms program in the respective public schools, when I had my dance studio, and we still do it now without a dance studio, we rent a studio, we have a weekend academy. And so the children come to us from 6th grade until the 12th grade, until they go to college. So we still keep in touch with so many of them, because when we're in their schools, we don't know them. We know them, hello, but we really don't get to know them. And we're not allowed to have their phone numbers or stuff like that. But at the Weekend Academy, we know them, we know their parents, so we keep in touch with them. And funny enough, there is a girl, her name is Shenana Mano, who was in the very, very, very first class I did at PPAS in 1992. And we are still friends. She's now, 38 years old, etc. We have quite a few other men and women who are now 28, 29 years old. As a matter of fact, there is a woman a while ago that we have had that brought her child is doing dancing classrooms. So now it's become a generation later. So yes, we try to keep. Now, of course, with this pandemic going on, we are now looking at doing other things. We have videotapes now to teach, to give to the schools, so that the classroom teacher can do it over, online, as you might say, to give the schools a choice, because all the schools are closed right now. There's nothing happening through this pandemic. But in September, we have a very good reputation with our schools that we can give them a choice. No one knows what's going to happen in September, where we're going to be exactly, but we can go back to actual touch dancing. We're actually holding, maybe with gloves or masks or something, or what we call shadow dancing in front of each other, mirror type dancing with each other, or online. So this is right now what all of our teachers are preparing, getting a new type of syllabus. It's not going to be the same as touch dancing, of course, if we're doing it in a shadow. But many schools in New York City, in Manhattan especially, don't even have a gym. They don't have a place for children to run around and exercise. So for a child to be able to jump around a little bit and to move to music is very, very healthy. And a lot of the principals want that. So we're hoping for a good result with the choices that we present to them. We'll see.
Well, I hope that I know that is part of our situation across all.
Yes, of course, this is it.
We don't have school. We're not even, whether I think of it in respect to children going to school or having programs like dancing classrooms, or even for us being instructors and wanting our students to come in and have lessons at the studio. It's just, it's affecting everyone in all ways, right? So it'll be interesting to see how we all bridge into the change of the new normal, whatever that may be.
I mean, what the news is tonight, 26 million people are applying for work, for unemployment. And look at the Metropolitan Opera House, $80 million they lost this year so far. So, I mean, the theater, look at Broadway shows, look at everything, nothing. I mean, how it comes back, we don't know yet, but Queen Elizabeth said a wonderful quote, "We will meet again." And so for me, I like to think, and I'm sure I am correct, we will dance TWO together again. We will dance together again. And I really, I feel this too will pass. This too will
pass. Yes, very well put. Yes.
I hope so too. I'm sure we will. One of the favorite quotes, you said, look, it's impossible to be angry or sad while you're dancing.
Correct.
And I think all of us here have felt that in many ways. That's the reason why Kelly, Michelle, and I do this podcast, because we want to share this joy of dance with others and make it a little bit more accessible in a small way through our podcast. Clearly, Dancing Classrooms has done that on a very big scale now. So how does the program actually grow and expand? As a listener to this podcast, if I'm in a location where Dancing Classrooms does not yet have a foothold, how can someone get involved? How can they start a program?
Good question.
How can they volunteer?
Lovely. Good question. First of all, it's like a not-for-profit franchise. You would give us a call, write to us, and then there's our executive director will get back to you to see if you have a board of directors. You have to be a not-for-profit organization, whether you're able to. It's wonderful. We have many people wanting the program. Mm-hmm. Their heart is beautiful. They really want it, but it costs money. Mm-hmm. And if someone is thinking that they can make money out of it, forget about it. Right. Our hands are always out for money. Our board of directors, we should have had our annual gala on April 1st, where we raise our biggest amount of money for the program. Well, look what happened. Nothing happened. It has to be canceled. So we're hoping that we can, we've rescheduled it for the 23rd of September. Hopefully that will get some money rolling in then. And we rely on people's generosity to donate, etc. So if you're interested in starting a program, become a site director, it's not impossible, but you really have to think twice about it, because to start something is easy. To maintain it is where the work really is. So you have to have a board of directors. You have to have the schools that really want it. Our schools pay us, but they only pay us 50% of what it costs us.
Right.
So you have to raise the other 50% to be able to pay your teachers. Or if you want to earn money out of it, I started it with nothing. I didn't want money out of it. I had a job, I had my dancing school, etc., etc. So I was okay. I was able to start it off. And then slowly I got a salary, very slowly. So it would be the same for anyone out there. If they are interested, by all means, give us a call or go to www.dancingclassrooms.org. Look at our website and see for yourself. We would love to partner with people. There is an annual fee they would pay. There is where this is then you've got to send a teacher, 2 or 3 teachers, or 1 or 2 teachers to New York City to get the training in the Delaine Method. But more importantly, you have to have the schools in your town, in your city, in your area that want the program. You cannot just go and get yourself trained and hope for the best. You have to make inquiries ahead of time. But the good thing about it is that we are a known program. Everybody knows us. We have, there's a film that I'm sure our very first film, Mad Hot Ballroom, I'm sure you know of. That was about our program and for the schools in the Bronx. Then Take the Lead. And then I went back to the place of my birth, to Jaffa, where I did dancing in Jaffa, where I brought, Palestinian Israeli children and Israeli Jewish children to dance together. Well, let me tell you, that was the hardest thing I have ever done. It was like taking wisdom teeth out. It was really, really not easy, but at the end, it was successful. And I'm so proud of Miri Shahaf Levi, my friend, the site director in Israel, who is now has grown to be one of the best sites we have in our program, in our organization. And so she's still doing Arab schools and Jewish schools and bringing them together. So she got the idea really, really beautifully. And I'm very, very proud of that. But it's not impossible. It's not impossible. I mean, we just have to, the thing is this, I'm a Taurus, meaning that I don't take no for an answer. That was the reason that we became successful. I mean, I really am, if I think I want something and I believe it's a good thing, respectfully, I will get it. And I think, and really gold is gold. It'll come through. If it's worth it, it will come through.
Yeah, and you know, the comment about the genuity of anyone that's interested in opening a program or being a part of that, it all comes from the same place, because that is exactly why you were able to create what you have, is because it was genuine and it was full of passion and desire, and it wasn't about monetary gains. It wasn't about what am I going to get from it. It was about what you wanted to give. Correct. And that is the only way to be a part of a program, because it deserves the respect that it was grounded and founded on. So
correct. I mean, our mission is to instill life lessons in children through the practice of social dance. And life lessons is respect, compassion, confidence, tolerance, with each other, respecting one another, not judging other people. And so this is what the children learn, is that because the way we teach in our program is we say, thank you, partner, hello, new partner. We dance for 2 minutes. So every single child in the class dances with other children. And so this is where you were saying before, you cannot be angry when you're dancing. I mean, if there's a boy and a girl who really don't like each other, suddenly, and it happens, they suddenly dance with each other, they become friends. They get to know that person, because if you're sitting next to each other in a classroom or you're playing tennis with someone, you don't know them. You don't know the feeling of them. When you feel someone, you get to know that in such a different way. And this is what this together dancing really, really is so good at.
Now, I have another part to my question, Pierre, because you are already in quite a number of locations. If someone hearing this podcast is in one of those locations and wants to get involved in that local program, so not starting a new program, but they're inspired to get involved as a volunteer and contribute in some way or other, what's the best way for them to do that?
Unfortunately, we in New York City, at the moment, we don't have a home, because I am retired, so I don't have a dance school. So we are working from an office, and we rent a Broadway type dance studio on like the rehearsal studios for our weekend academy. So that we don't use volunteers as such. We have had volunteers to lick and stick stamps, for the envelopes and stuff like that in the past. So it depends on that site, whatever if you are now in Westchester and we had a program in Westchester, then you would get in touch with the site director and ask directly. Many times we've had volunteer, like ballroom dancing, wonderful people wanting to come and volunteer and help with the class itself. With all due respect, that never works.
Interesting.
No, you have to be trained. This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And also, I'm sure you are aware of that all of our teaching artists with the Homeland Security have been fingerprinted. So you cannot walk into a school just like that.
Right.
With all of the killings and whatever has happened or still happens, unfortunately, around the country, that you cannot go in without an ID. I can take you in as a guest with me, but I would have to, make an appointment with the principal to tell them, okay, Michelle is going to come with me. She's a guest or she's a patron. She's going to give us money. So she wants to see a class in progress.
Right. And there has to be clearance, of course. There's so many.
So for volunteers to come close to the children, it's impossible. But for volunteers to work and help in an office, to write thank you letters, to lick and stick stamps or something like that, we have used that. We have done that in the past, So, but that would be the only thing. And yeah, I don't know, different people work differently, but I do know in the United States, going into a school ain't easy. You've got to have clearance. That is for sure.
That makes sense.
Absolutely.
So the path of least resistance, it seems, if someone wants to help the program,
give money,
right? Go to the site, donate, and if you want to go beyond that, maybe there's opportunity to help with the fundraising.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if I may say, I mean, I joke around this. I really appreciate every $5 we get from our wonderful patrons, So it was meant with respect, not so much that. But what can happen is that if you want to donate, let's say $1,000, a couple of $1,000, or a reasonable chunk of money, not just $10, $20, which is also good, you could designate it to a certain school that you want that school to have the class, and then you can go and visit that school.
Oh,
a couple of occasions, and then what we've done in the past, because we've fundraised like that, people have given us $4,000 for a class, and those children from that class will write a letter. Thank you, Miss Michelle, for the dancing classrooms program that you donated to, blah, blah, blah. So, and we have wonderful, wonderful letters of thanks from children who have done that. And so the school, it becomes part of the curriculum integration. This is the other thing I did not mention, that our program really has curriculum integration, meaning the children learn about the history of the dancers, where they come from, the music, and they write poetry, they write thank you letters, they write the last class, the 20th lesson. It's twice a week for 10 weeks. Our program is, the whole class goes en masse, and it is not, elective. The whole class must go. You cannot, if it was an elective or after school, you'll have 20 girls and 3 boys. So it would not be whereas when the whole class goes, at the beginning, the children may not, the boys may not want to dance, but 2 or 3 lessons they're into it, and then they start to write about it, and so they get to know about the program, about the dancers, and they get to know each other in a way that they would not otherwise know that. So it's and then the good thing is, on the 20th lesson, parents are invited to watch their children perform for what we call a ballroom breakfast. And then they read some of the poetry they've written. They show all over the gym, wherever the event is taking place. They put up the posters of their paintings or their poetry. And it is really quite wonderful. If you want the truth, ask a child. Be prepared.
True.
I promise you. Be prepared.
Oh, you've given so much to dance. I have a two-parter I want to ask you. One is, you personally, when you did dance, and obviously there aren't really dances we hate, but there are dances we like more than others. Did you have, or do you have now still a dance or two that rises to the top that's your favorite?
I think when I performed from a musical point of view, and that's because of my upbringing, my initial growing up in the Middle East, I liked the Spanish music, the rumba, and the paso doble. And that has Moorish roots with the Arab world. And so I would say that between the rumba and the paso doble, they would be my favorite dances.
Nice. All right, second part. You are really good at talking and helping us visualize a picture. Do you have a favorite story or a favorite incident or anything that happened that just brings a smile to your face every time you think about it, whether it was you performing, whether it was something your kids did, or did you have a favorite story that you like to look back on?
I have something that brings a tear to my eye.
Ooh.
I was in Phoenix, Arizona, working with autistic children. And that is, I mentioned, this is a quote from my TEDx talk. I did a TED talk, and it is part of my talk there. At the end of the course, when we had the parent gathered, there was this one 9-year-old boy. He was 9 or 10 years old. Never, ever spoke. Never spoke. Got on with it. At the beginning, at the first couple of days, he was just sitting down, and I would always go to him, pat his shoulder, and slowly speak with him. Eventually, he got up and danced. And then when we did the culminating event, the show for the parents, he's just out of the blue. All the children are in a circle. He just jumps in the circle and say, I must say something. I love dancing. I had a good time dancing. He never, ever spoke. The tears came down to her parents' eyes. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. That was really lovely. That was really, really, really lovely. Yeah. So for me, this is, I hate getting up early in the morning. You have to be in a bloody school at 8 o'clock. And you have a whole hour. That means you have to be up at 5:30, 5:45 to get your act together, to move and get the subway and go to what I call the west coast of England, Coney Island, type of thing for a school. But then I walk into the class, and then I wake up. Then it's all well worthwhile. And so from being, oh my God, do I have to really do it? and then suddenly I come in, and the kids really put a pin in my derriere, and suddenly I'm alive. And that I think is a quote from me you can use, a pin in my bloody derriere.
I'll use that with joy. I can see how a moment like that, though, can really make it feel all worth it.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I agree. Yeah.
That's really something.
I will say that I'm glad to find out you're not a morning person, because just listening to all of the accomplishments, it's nice to know that you are actually still human and you have things that you don't like a little bit.
Oh, you know what? I love being retired because I don't have to get up before 9 o'clock in the morning. And I have to say that last night, one of my favorite musicals is Les Miserables, Les Mis.
Mm-hmm.
And it was playing on HBO at 11 o'clock until 1:40, till 1:45. And I stayed up and I watched it. I mean, you can't say no to Hugh Jackman and Anne Hathaway. I mean, I saw it. I saw the premiere when I was in Beirut, in Lebanon, a few years ago when it came out. And so I just had to see it again. I've seen the show many times on Broadway also. Love it.
Well, that's a good reason to stay up and
yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
Sleep a little bit.
Yeah.
I think Kelly might have been happy to hear this back because he now knows there's hope for him still.
Oh yeah, I'm not. I am not a morning person at all. The only way I'm a morning person is if I've been up all night and then just continue on throughout my day. That's the only way I'm a morning person.
Yeah. I've never been a morning person, but you know, if you have to do it, you have to do it, and you know, you can do it, of course. But out of choice, no. No. I hate it. You know, these bloody robot calls one gets. I don't have a car. Your vehicle is out of date, blah, blah, blah. At 9 o'clock in the morning, they call you. So,
so Pierre, I mentioned earlier that I've got your book. I have not completed the book, I must confess, yet.
Okay.
But I'm finding it very enjoyable.
You don't have to now. You know me.
Yeah, I don't. Check off my to-do list. No, actually, I'm really enjoying it. It's a sizable book, but it's a very easy read.
Yeah, thank you.
And so I just want to recommend that to everyone. We'll put
the lead, the life of a dancer. That's what the title is, right? Taking the lead.
Taking the lead, memoir of a dancing life.
That's it, memoir of a dancing life.
Yes.
I call it.
For those who are watching the video, there you go.
Yeah,
we will put a link to that in our show notes, and a link to dancingclassrooms.org, and a link to the TED Talk you referenced.
Oh, yes, yeah. May I have this dance, please?
Okay.
That's the name of it. May I have this dance, please? Yeah.
It's a great title.
Yes. Well, it's been really lovely. Thank you so much. You've been very kind.
Oh, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure, Pierre. A wonderful way to get to know you, but also spend our time in quarantine as we're all self-isolating and doing this, but we get to share this wonderful podcast with you. And I'm sure David is going to be quick at putting this out there so our audience can enjoy it. I know we were all very excited, and we're honored that you had the time for us today. So thank you again so much.
Thank you. And David, you'll send me a link to the podcast afterwards or something, I'm sure.
I definitely will.
Yeah.
No, we're going to interview you, but you can stay up all night wondering how it went.
I love it. So really, sincerely, thank you, all of you. Very, very, very nice chatting, and it's very nice. Good.
You.
And let's dance together again soon.
Yes. Indeed. EWO.
Stay safe. God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.